Hey there folks, Nick here, welcome back to the channel. Today I am trying out a Facebook viral post that my mum shared and I thought might be interesting. It is beer bread. What is beer bread, I hear you ask? Well, here's the post that my mum shared. It is a can of beer, 2 cups of flour, 3 tablespoons of sugar, mix them, put them in a pan, bake them for 45 minutes and wham bam, you got bread, ma'am. This here is the beer that I'll be using. It's Fraser Briggs from Aldi, not sponsored by Aldi, although Aldi, if you do want to sponsor me, hit me up. Alright, anyway, let's get on with it. Alright, so I'll throw all these ingredients into the mixer. First thing is the beer, pour all of that in. Then we'll grab our little measuring cup of flour here, our 1 metric cup, because we don't mess around with those imperial cups around here. So first cup of flour going in, very nicely done, and of course the second cup of flour going in. Make sure you get all the flour out of that flour cup. Then grab our sugar bowl. It's getting pretty empty actually, pretty much having to scrape the sides. That's alright, we'll get it out first. Tablespoon of sugar chucked in there pretty quickly and follow that up with another 2, making a total of 3 tablespoons. You see here I didn't really fill the tablespoon, but let's face it, a tablespoon of sugar is a lot and it wants 3. It's a bit silly. Anyway, let's get the mixing going. And once we get the mixing going, make sure you scrape the sides because it will stick to the sides if you can quite plainly see. Weird texture, definitely a really weird texture to this one. I make bread fairly regularly, a couple of times a month I'd say Shannon and I make bread. And this is definitely not the texture of any bread I've made. It's gloopy, it looks almost like a pancake batter to be completely honest with you. But that's what the recipe calls for. Look at this. Bread shouldn't do that. It certainly shouldn't come off a mixing hook like that. But that's what we've got. And that's what we're going to work with here. So now I'm going to take a little bit of olive oil and I'm just going to pour, dish out a little bit of olive oil into the bottom of my baking dish. I'm then going to take this paper towel and just spread all that olive oil onto the surfaces. You don't need a lot, you just basically need it to be slightly moist. Then I'm going to take a bit of flour, dump that flour into the dish, and then do the old shakeroo, shake it, and make sure that there's flour covering all the surfaces that were wet with oil. I've never had bread stick to the baking dish using this method of non-stickifying the dish. You can see there's a couple of little clumps of flour in there. That's okay, you can leave those in, I do. You will just get a little divot in the bottom of your loaf where any of those are. So it's not a big deal. Makes your loaf look more rustic. So here we are pouring the beer bread batter. Nice little bit of alliteration there. Into the baking dish. It's really not what bread is meant to do when it comes out of a mixing bowl. But, yeah, that's what we got. I mean, take a look at it. It's pouring. And, look at it. It's shifting in the dish. It shouldn't do that for bread. But I've never made bread that was this liquidy before, and this will be a real test of my non-stickifying, I guess. So into the oven we go. The oven, as I said, has been preheated to what Americans would call 375 Fahrenheit, what the rest of the world would call roughly 195, 200 degrees Celsius. We'll set the old timer for, you know what? It wants 45 minutes. Let's set it for 40. I reckon right at the top of what it wants to be cooked for. We can always chuck it in for another 10 minutes. So let's see how it goes. So here we are, about 25 minutes into the baking process, and it looks like it's skinned up on top. Looks like there's a bit over there stuck to the side though, that's a bit of a worry. Ah, Shanna's favourite noise. Better turn it off before she gets upset. Alright, let's pull this thing out and see what we've got after 35 minutes. Sorry, after 40 minutes. Wasn't that a satisfying thud? Not the satisfying thud you want from your bread, I can assure you. It's pretty dense. It's also pretty undercooked. Let's just grab that baking dish back and let's plop it in for another 10 minutes. Yeah, that's a good idea. Alright, in for another 10 minutes. Are you ready for it? You ready for it? There it is! Ah, that bloody noise. Alright, let's make sure the camera's focused. Let's shut up the timer. And let's see what we got after basically the recommended baking time for beer bread. Are you prepared for another satisfying thud? Well, you better be, because here comes one. There you go, beer bread. It's finished and upside down. It's still a little bit not hollow. The top's really good though, so that's nice. I suppose it is still very dense and very heavy for. I mean, it looks like a paving slab. Let's be honest. We'll give it a bit of a cool on the cooling rack and come back in about 10 minutes to slice this bad boy up with our favourite knife. Sense the sarcasm. Oh yeah, it doesn't look that bad. It actually looks pretty good on camera. Have a look at the knife though. See the sticky bits of bread stuck to it? That's from the bottom sort of 5mm that's still not quite cooked. So it is a little bit disappointing in that sense. But the first two slices off are cooked all the way through by the looks of things. So let's give them a taste test. Of course, some good wholesome butter on top of your bread is always highly recommended. If you don't put butter on your bread, then there's something wrong with you, I think. That's just my opinion. You can disagree. Feel free to disagree in the comments below. What would you put on freshly baked bread? Leave a comment down below. Butter, my personal favourite choice. So we'll apply a liberal amount of butter to this bread. Let's have a taste of it. Yeah, okay. So first thing I'm getting is sweetness. It tastes like cake. It also kind of has the texture of cake, actually, to be completely honest with you. I can taste the butter, of course, but other than that, it's very sweet. The crust is crusty, reasonably. The inside is very dense. Like, it's solid. It's completely solid. You could build a house with these. Other than that, I think there is room for improvement. perhaps a resting stage to let the yeast, the potential yeast rise. We'll see how that goes. But I think I'm going to do a follow-up video for this. Let's try it with resting the bread to give it a bit more of a chance. Let's try it with perhaps a craft beer that will have some active yeast in it. And maybe I'll try it with my own home brew. Make sure you hit subscribe, make sure you hit like, and I'll see you in the next one for the follow-up to this.